Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Adeniyi, Abiodun. It feels weird, but a robot passed me my microphone this morning. It's a weird direction we're taking the world. But super excited to talk to you very quickly about what we're doing at Miston. At Miston Labs, we're working on making moving money, moving assets on the internet as simple as sending messages. So my team actually comes from Facebook. We were predominantly responsible for launching a global payments rail called Libra. And the goal of Libra was to make moving of money as simple as sending messages on WhatsApp. As you all know, once we made sending messages global free, it was really easy for people to become better connected. And at the same time, the world saw massive opportunities in increase in commerce across the world, right? So if we can make moving money as simple as sending messages, we felt we could ultimately add a big advantage to the world. If you look at the team, Evan is one of the creators of LLVM. Without LLVM today, your phones will not work. George, we acquired this company at Facebook to build Libra. Costas is one of the most prolific computer scientists when it comes to cryptography today. A lot of its algorithms, especially in quantum, is being adhered to. And of course, Sam is the inventor of the Move programming language. I've been involved in crypto since 2012, built one of the largest Bitcoin mining systems. And over time, I've launched blockchains for Oracle, VMware, and of course, Facebook. So we're going fully agentic in the world, right? Machines are going to be part of the economy. You've heard more and more about how agents are going to have a part to play. In our view, when we looked at transactions on the internet, today, majority of internet traffic is largely automated. And we also believe the financial rails of the future, most on-chain online transactions will be driven by agentic pools. So when you make a payment, when you buy, when you sell, a lot of that is going to be automated on your behalf. Now, these are the kind of things you're going to need in this world that we're going towards, right? Money movement has to be free. So the idea that you pay to move your own money is ludicrous. That's going away. And many companies exist today simply here to charge you fees for moving the money you've worked hard for. Money movement is going to be free. Separately, money has to be agentic. It needs to be digital so agents can use it. The idea that you are going to have to go to a website and click 5 buttons to make an order is going away. The human interface is going to be conversational, and agents need to be able to action things on your behalf. Separately, money needs to have rules. So different assets will have different rules that decides who can buy, who can own, who can participate, what are the rules around privacy. Separately, as I said, money has to be private. Today, all blockchains fall foul of a world where I send you $5 and somehow you can look at the entire history of what I've done on the internet. That does not work. And we need to move to a world where money is truly private, the same way you get it today. And of course, yield. The idea that a bank will pay 0.04% when really the real yield rate is about 3.5%. Money will natively generate yield. So we're happy to announce that SWI will be the first public high-speed network to make money movement free. SWI, to move any amount of money on SWI, whether it's $0.0005 all the way to $1 billion, there will be no fee. And that is setting us up for a world where agents can move money globally at the speed of light without a cost. That is going to be something you can do with USDC, USDT, SWI dollar, every single stablecoin in the market. SWI will be the central area for commerce. Beyond that as well, bank-grade privacy will be available on SWI. So the idea, as I mentioned, that you now only can count on central organizations for keeping your information private. The public network itself, using cryptography, advanced cryptography, will keep your transaction history as secure as a bank would without having to trust a central entity. So whether I send you $50 or I send you $1 billion, you'd be unable to see the entire history of my transactions or my balance. That is privacy that actually works, and also works with full compliance and regulatory overhead as well. Beyond that as well, I mentioned money needs to generate yield natively. Right now, the mass majority of stables that exist in the market, the yield goes to separate entities. We're going to a world where the yield needs to go directly to users, but also needs to go directly to infrastructure. So in the yield that will be generated by SWI dollar that we've launched in partnership with Stripe, that goes back to the SWI network in buying SWI liquidating SWI, in burning SWI, and of course in boosting yields for holders of DeFi assets as well. So you're going to see a world where the yield that is generated from stablecoins, right now in the market is about 3.5%, goes back to feeding directly into the ecosystem for the benefit of its users. And it also means transactions are always going to be free on SWI. And these are the things you're absolutely going to need. Agents need to move money quickly as possible, irrespective of the amount. Agents are going to pay agents directly, and rails that count on fees will not survive. Also, it's one thing to make transactions free, but can you handle the necessary demands of that for agents? I think Stripe estimated you will need something to the tune of 1 billion transactions per second. No infrastructure in crypto space is built to take on that kind of demand, but only SWI's designed an infrastructure that scales horizontally. The same way we built search at Google, the same way we built our infrastructure at Facebook. It's the same people. We've built SWI the same way. So as you add more hardware, the network horizontally scales. If we need 1 million transactions per second, SWI can do that. If you need 10 million transactions per second, SWI can handle that based on hardware. And that is the only network that is designed with this in mind from day one. And another thing, we actually had a lot of sovereign wealth funds, hedge funds, ETF holders who came over to our company and asked us questions around putting their Bitcoin to use. They could not trust the infrastructure offered to them by layer twos. And there were complicated tax consequences of wrapping assets. So we actually, I've worked with a number of sovereign wealth funds and ETF institutions as well with building Hashi. The goal of Hashi is to give institutions a DeFi-first approach to generating yield for Bitcoin. So if you're sitting on a balance sheet of 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion in Bitcoin and previously weren't able to make use of it, now with Hashi you can. With a click of a button with a number of our partners, BitGo included, you'll be able to quickly deploy Bitcoin straight to DeFi while keeping it on the BTC network, paying no taxes, in addition to being able to mint and borrow stablecoins in real time. Unlike what happened with CeFi before, when we had mass liquidations, nobody knew what happened to their assets, this is entirely different. It's fully public, fully available, and is covered by a Bitcoin-based insurance as well. So you have the most secure protocol to borrow assets for Bitcoin, built on top of the fastest layer one with full privacy ingrained into it as well. Another thing to mention with Hashi, it's institutional grade. So you're going to start to see ETFs that starts to pay you yield directly from BTC instead of charging you a rate for holding the ETF. And that's all powered by the advanced technologies we built at Mist and Labs. As I mentioned, Fenwick and West, which is one of the top law firms in the States, have given a strong legal opinion that, especially in North America, using Hashi will not constitute a taxable event, which means large institutions with billions of dollars on a balance sheet can start deploying Bitcoin at scale to the most performant, the fastest and most reliable network that exists in crypto. Deepbook, as we all know, liquidity is important, but also how you make liquidity available is critically important. Using DEXs or AMMs for highly liquid tier one assets makes no sense. So SWI has the only high throughput on-chain deep order book that's composable. So you can trade in and out of positions at large size with minimal slippage with Deepbook. In a world where you'd be able to swap between BTC and dollars, swap between gold and USD, swap between USD and EUR directly on-chain as fast as you want and with very, very low cost. Deepbook's already built and it's there to meet that kind of need as well. So we'll be talking a bit more about Deepbook towards our own event, so we really encourage you to come over. And the most important thing to talk about with SWI is it is literally a multitude of technologies. Right? People talk about layer ones, and I think it's important to know that you cannot survive in the world. You can't solve the world's problems with just a layer one. The goal we set out to build at Facebook with Libra was to build a global network that made it possible for anybody to own their own data, anyone to own their own assets, and anyone to transfer money whenever they wanted, unencumbered by central organizations. And what we have with SWI is not just amazing front end, right? You've got a highly scalable blockchain. You also have storage. If you need to store gigabytes or petabytes of data, you could do that with SWI. If you want to encrypt data and decide who can access that data, if you want to set rules on when that data is available, right? If you're a news reporter and you want to make news available at a particular time, you want to programmatically make it available and charge for it, you could do that with SWE natively on the platform today. You can host entire websites and applications on SWE using Walrus today. So you have to solve the full stack problem. We're moving from a world where apps are run on central infrastructure to a world where they'll be run on shared infrastructure. And we've built that with SWE. And as I mentioned, payments on SWE will be ultimately free. Slush, which is one of our wallets in the ecosystem, would effectively allow you to deploy capital, earn yield instantly, and pay no fees for global remittance. So sending money anywhere around the world will be free. This will be the same thing with any one of our partners. So every wallet that leverages the SWE protocol would ultimately make sending money globally free. And we recently announced our partnership with Red.Pay. So Red.Pay is going to be joining the SWE ecosystem. This will allow you to spend SWE, US dollars, SWE dollar, all across over 130 million merchants. So in a world where it'll now be free to move your money, it also will be easy for you to take that money and spend it at at any kind of auto-telling machine or any kind of merchant service point in the world as well. So SWE is globally, it's quickly becoming a global layer for commerce, a global layer for liquidity, and it can do that at the scale that the internet actually demands. So as I mentioned, it's becoming the most powerful stack for financial services. We recently announced a number of merchant banks, especially member banks who are now leveraging SWE for financial rails. Namely, they could start to allow their users to globally move money across the internet and do that with the same resilience that they expect with SWE. Think of SWE as an ultimate replacement for the cloud stacks we have today, but also more importantly as a SWIFT replacement. It moves money faster than SWIFT can, more robustly than SWIFT can, and it settles instantaneously. I want to share a video with you about what we're doing with AI.
The next $5 trillion won't be human. Today's internet wasn't built for AI agents to become economic actors. Agents can decide in seconds, but payments still rely on logins, apps, approvals, and disconnected systems. That makes agentic commerce fragile. The SWE stack fixes this at the foundation. Builders can give agents scoped authority to pay, with clear limits on what they can spend, when they can spend it, and who they can pay. Those permissions are composable. The payment rules can be structured to work across apps. So agents can move between apps automatically to accomplish all their tasks. Agents can buy inventory, settle invoices, or pay for services while they work. Each step produces a verifiable receipt on-chain. Every outcome is auditable, provable, and easy to reconcile. SWE makes agentic business possible.
It's important to notice that SWE offers something very unique that we've been trying to do for decades in computer science. It gives you full atomic composability across applications. What does that mean? Today, when an agent works on your behalf, it does things one after the other in a procedural form. You ask it to book you a flight, book you a hotel, book a restaurant. It needs to do these things one after a time. And that's the most basic example. Soon, you imagine making investments. You need to withdraw from a number of accounts at the same time and deposit elsewhere. The world is shifting to a place where agents will be way more efficient than humans, and you need atomic composability for that to happen. SWE lets you do any number of these composable transactions together and execute them at once. You can't do that at AWS. You cannot do that with Google. You certainly can't do that with any Web3 stack that exists today. This game-changing feature of atomic composability is going to make the difference between an agent that charges you $5 to do an action, between another agent that could charge you $1 to do an action. It's going to be ultimately what leads to greater efficiency. And as I mentioned, here's part of the stack. SWE, Walrus, Deepbook, ZK Login, Nautilus, Seal, all these are part of the most critical things that agents and developers can use to build a future internet. We're very, very glad about the progress we're making, and we believe we're fully ready to dominate agentic commerce. Thank you very much.